Packed grid for race 2 if we tried. On the second row of the grid we've got Alain Menu. Alain had to start the last race at the back. Alongside him we've got James Thompson in the Honda. James, remember, was our pole man for race 1 and made a lousy start. Then on the front row of the grid we've got our race winner from race 1, David Leslie in the Nissan, and alongside David is Jason Plato in the Renault. Last time Jason was here, he made a rotten start. Let's hope for his sake that it improves this time. And most of all, it's starting to rain. Right behind me now, it's starting to sprinkle. I can feel spots of rain. It's just been declared a wet race. Good go anyway. John, over to you.
Charlie, as you know, wet races always provide entertainment. In the meantime, Jason Plato starts from pole position. He was third in the first race today, alongside the winner of that race, David Leslie. 97 champion Alain Menu's third, and James Thompson's fourth. An improving RD fifth, and Derek Warwick sixth. Will Hoy seventh in the Ford Mondeo, alongside John Cleland in eighth. Peter Cox is ninth, and Tim Harvey in the leading Peugeot. Anthony Reid is 11th, alongside a very disappointed Rickard Rydell in 12th. Paul Radisich 13th, and Craig Baird is 14th. Leading independent Matt Neal is 15th, and an equally disappointed Morbidelli is 16th. John Bincliffe 17th, Mark Lemmer 18th, and row 10 is Gravid and Rushtat.
Threatening clouds, gusting winds and rising revs, and Jason Plato off and away cleanly. David Leslie goes with him, as does Alain Menu, and James Thompson right behind him. So it's Plato in the lead, Leslie's in there somewhere, then Alain Menu in the set, and there's Leslie. Leslie looks to the outside, Plato's got him covered. So it's Plato, then Leslie, then Menu right behind as we go round Cox. Looks like cleanly for the first time. James Thompson right behind him, on board with Radisich and Rydell in the Volvo. Bit of a kiss and a smooch between them as we go up and over the hill and down towards Beckett's for the first time. A really strong lead, big gap already for Jason Plato, and then Reid's going with him. Will Hoy's in the thick of it again. Will Hoy up the inside of Ivan Muller.
Driving extremely well this weekend, but watch Alain Menu trying to make up for the disappointment of his first race this afternoon.
Streaming down towards Abbey now, line astern, on board with Derek Warwick, hard on the brakes, a great view of the four of us in front. That's James Thompson in the Honda dead ahead, Alain Menu in front, and look, Leslie's got sideways, that's Leslie, Menu to the left, there's contact, they're touched between them.
Yeah, the contact, Leslie pushed Menu onto the grass, now he's trying to push James Thompson off on the other side, into bridge, three abreast, and Leslie and Menu contact, and again, and Menu's off into the gravel, 3 times in the space of 2 corners. Alain Menu, what a disaster today.
Menu's on the infield, it looks though, well, Leslie's still running at the moment, there he is, he's sandwiched by Vauxhalls, he's got one in front, one behind, but I think he's wounded. Yeah, he's definitely wounded, he's drifting all over the place, he's losing places hand over fist.
Contact 3 times for David Leslie with Alain Menu, there's the result. He is struggling, he is in trouble.
Now we're joining Peter Cox in the Honda right on the bootlet of Will Hoy as we fly down past the pit straight for the first time, looking for a way past, ducking and weaving. Hoy covers, does he? Yeah, he has, he's got him held behind him, but Cox is really all over him. This is a much stronger showing from him this time, and there's Menu.
Throttle is stuck open. Okay, never mind, if it's stuck open, if it's not safe, then it's not safe to stay there, Alan.
Well, that's the message back from the pits. The throttle's stuck open, so I don't know if he's got muck in the throttle or something from that altercation, but that's the end of his race. Back now with our leaders, and what a scrap this is. Cox still bringing Hoy under real pressure. Now this is the big downhill run, the fast sweep, 140 miles an hour, down into Abbey, and Cox is having a big look. Hard under brakes, dropping the gears, and he's got him. Locked up a rear doing it.
In spite of that, he's still got the position from Will Hoy. Good driver now, Ivan Muller in the Audi, taking advantage of Will Hoy's slight loss of momentum as they climb up towards Bridge Corner.
Yeah, Will gave Cox a bit of a headbutt out of that corner because Cox's prop got in his way and slowed him up, and he's really paying the price now. He's got Muller to get past, and this isn't the place to do it, running into the complex. Harvey sensing a bit of opportunity now in the Peugeot, the first of those, trying to have a look down the end. Oh, having a big look, locking up a rear wheel. The car's unbalanced there. Haven't seen much of Tim Harvey lately, but this is quite a strong midfield battle he's having. And right behind him is David Leslie's teammate, Anthony Reid, in the second of the Nissans.
Thank you.
That's the Mayday message from David Leslie to his pit, letting him know he's got a left rear problem. Back with our leaders now. It's Plato, Thompson, then Warwick and Cleland in the 2 Vauxhalls, followed by Cox. Then it's Muller in the first of the Audis. And Tim Harvey following right on the bootleg still of Will Hoy, and Anthony Reid making up the top 10.
Left rear. Took it when he hit you the first time.
Okay.
Trying to work work out where the damage is. Look at the side of that Nissan. It looks as though it's done 10 rounds with Frank Bruno. What a mess.
Well, he certainly went 3 rounds with Alain Menu. That's the result of those 3 separate impacts between the 2 corners. And, well, that's the end of David Leslie's day this afternoon. The winner of race 1 is out.
Now, let's have another look. We're going down into Abbey Corner. We're on board with Warwick, and there they are ahead of us. Menu on the left of your screen. Bang, there's the contact with Leslie on the right. Leslie then moves across to cover off James Thompson, who's trying to get up the inside. 3 abreast as we go under bridge. Set contact again. They're leaning on each other. Then they separate. Then Menu turns in and almost looks as though he has another lunge and hit him. How do you call it?
It all began at Abbey when David Leslie lost the back of the Nissan. Alain Menu tried to take advantage by going up the inside, but Leslie came back across him. That was the first point of collision. Second point, well, 3 cars through bridge does not go, and the second collision. And then on the exit of bridge before Priory, a third smack in the side of Leslie and Menu's cars. But of course, both drivers will have entirely different versions of the same story.
Back now with Harvey and Reed and Hoy as we head down towards Abbey. There's Radisic's car flapping a rear bumper. On board now with Kay Baird, and we're looking ahead to Radisic. Down into Abbey Corner, hard under brakes. Oh, hard under brakes and a big shove from somewhere. You see the smoke out the front. It looks like the Volvo twins have actually given him a bit of a short back and sides. He's lost out big time there. A bit of a tap, slid sideways.
I have to say that looked to me like a professional foul.
Yeah, and he's having a bit of a wild introduction to touring car racing as we join Paul Radisic now, and we also notice that it's starting to rain. Heavy rain on the windscreen actually as we go in through the complex. Look, understeer, oversteer. The car's pushing straight on. That's getting very slippery very quickly.
And everybody, of course, started on dry, slick tyres. In the rain, those become very difficult indeed. Because it's been declared a wet race, it's up to the drivers and teams to decide when they're going to come in and fit a set of wets.
Yeah, that'll be really exercising their minds now as we watch the rain stream up Paul Radisic's windscreen. And ahead of us, we watch a fabulous battle between Tim Harvey and Anthony Reid. And that battle was actually won by Anthony Reid. He slipped past Harvey on the inside, around into Cops Corner. Now this, and straight ahead, that's our race leader. Unbelievable. Jason Plato has gone straight off. He's hit the rain, in the lead, off into the distance.
And that's up at Beckett's. So Jason Plato, the first man to really find the wettest part of the racetrack, currently up at Beckett's, off into the gravel, back onto the track, and almost takes off independent Tommy Rutstad and his Renault Laguna at the same time.
What an absolute nightmare for Jason Plato. Leading the race, straight down into the Beckett's complex. The track turned right, he went straight ahead.
But look at the rain, it's getting heavier and heavier. It's almost horizontal as Plato comes into Abbey Corner.
Yeah, he's coming into Abbey Corner and into a monsoon as well. Look at him tippy-toeing around that corner. Bear in mind his tyres will be covered in muck and rubbish from leaving the field before. So that's going to make it even worse. Here's our new race leader now, James Thompson. You can just see him through the driving rain. This is going to see everyone scurrying for the pits. They're all on slicks. There won't be that much heat in these tyres. And this circuit is absolutely saturated. Well, Thompson's not doing it. He's going to stick with it.
Tommy in next lap. Tommy in next lap. Come in the next lap. Cold wet. I'm cold wet, yeah?
Frantic radio messages from the cars. Harvey's leading him in. Frantic messages back to the pits. I need wets.
He's coming now. Is this instant, Jerry? Yes. Wet. Stop. Brake. Come on, get that tire out. Brake.
That looks like cut slicks for Plato. That's brave, John.
Very brave decision indeed, because this weather has been so changeable all day. It's impossible to tell what's going to happen in the next 15 or 20 minutes. But clearly, the team have decided that this is the way to go. Remember, Plato was leading this race. He went off big time in Beckett's. He fell to the very back of the field. He's going to fight his way up. But he's going to depend also on the weather clearing up before this race is over.
Go.
Well, it's an all or nothing gamble now for Plato, but he really has nothing to lose.
Speak of it, Jason. Get that. Coming on the next lap.
Well, that's John Cleland. He wants to get out of the pool. He's had quite enough of this. Will Hoy, meantime, moving up on the inside of Ivan Muller. That's a really strong pass in Brooklands. Muller just giving him a bit of a shove back to let him know what he thinks of it. Muller's holding a tight line now as they go back onto the back straight. Looks like he's pit, but Hoy's staying out.
But Hoy looks very comfortable in these conditions, and of course, as everybody else goes into the pits, he's going to the front of the field.
Rain's absolutely streaming down now. This makes Derek Warwick our new race leader. Oh, that's Tommy Rutstad spinning off. That was brilliantly executed. 2.5 turns with Pike. I think it's Olympic quality.
And it just shows how difficult conditions are, because Tommy Rushtat's just left the pitch with a set of wet weather tyres on board.
You can see how incredibly slippery this track is. These guys are going about as much grip as ducks landing on a frozen lake. They're sliding all over the place. In comes the first of the Fords. This is Craig Baird, and they're full wets.
Full wets for Craig Baird. That's a team decision. For Craig Baird running where he is in the field, the safest decision is to put a set of full wets on. We don't know what's going to happen. It could stay like this for the entire race, but to put him out on a set of grooved slicks is an unnecessary risk.
As you say that, it's raining even harder, absolutely tipping it down now in the pit lane. Not a bad stop from Baird. Back with the race leaders now, and it's Derek Warwick in the lead. Right behind him is Will Hoy. He's up from 7th to 2nd place in that Ford, and right behind him is Peter Cox in the Honda. 1, 2, 3.
All three of these cars, of course, yet to make pit stops. They're still on a full dry weather slick on a racetrack that is very slippery, and Will Hoy dives down into Brooklands, takes the lead for the first time this afternoon in this race from Derek Warwick.
Amazing scenes, literally. Ford and Vauxhall dicing for the lead. Now Warwick's having a look back on the inside. Hoy says, "Not in your life, bucko." Moves back to cross, shuts the door, and swims off into the distance.
Derek, what tyres do you want? Go for wet, go for wet.
Well, Derek Warwick seems to know what he wants. That's a set of full wet weather tyres.
We have completed the number of laps. We will change all 4 tyres for intermediate.
And Paul Radish is just behind Warwick. He's going to go for intermediates. A big gamble as well.
Well, Ford have gone wets and Radicic is going intermediate. Who knows what, John?
Derek Warwick, he's going safe with those wet tyres as well. But for those that want to gamble on the weather, this is the way to go. A grooved set of slicks. Not ideal in these conditions, but should the track dry out towards the end of the race, you'll have a big advantage.
Yeah, it's fair to point out that if they're on full wets, if the circuit dries out, it's going to be absolutely horrible. Now notice as well, they've only got 2 crews working on the car at any one time. Under the new pit stop regs, they've got to change the wheels 2 at a time. Now there's Warwick. Remember, he's going on to full wet weather tyres. That's Peter Cox in the Honda preparing to lead. That was another quick stop from Honda. At the back of Paul Radicic's car, undergoing a quick weight reduction there. They have to rip that off, otherwise he runs the risk of being black flagged. We saw the back of that flapping for the entire race. And Warwick rejoins as well. That's Morbidelli getting back out. And look at Anthony Reid now on a real charge. He surged past Cox as we move in. Anthony Reid always seems to be, for some reason, scything his way through the field, always coming from behind, storming drives. I don't know why that is, but this is yet another one of them. Round into Luffield now, and it looks as though he's actually running a little bit deep, and Cox goes even deeper and dabs the brakes.
Well, they do that in qualifying to get the best possible exit speed off Luffield Corner, and in the wet often there is more grip offline than online, and I think the drivers are just picking up that feeling and going for it.
Here's a great drag. We're on board with Gianni Morbidelli in the Volvo. Ahead of us is Peter Cox in the Honda. Cox is braking pretty early. Morbidelli's having a look down the inside. It doesn't really work for him. Is he losing ground as a result? No, he's not. Look, there's a real grip problem for Cox.
Yes, and I think also Morbidelli and certain parts of the track equally struggling for grip. Comes up into Maggott, quick curve, then into Beckett. This is probably the wettest part of the track. This is where Cox should have the advantage, but Morbidelli now closing up, and it is almost inevitable that Volvo will take Honda for position.
Well, this is a brave place to try to pass, and he can't do it as you move into the island chicane. It's a nick in the funnel. 2 into 1 doesn't go, and Gianni just lost out there. He really was closed out, but now he's built up the momentum again, and we're flying back down the hill, and he's looking for a pass.
Peter Cox has got his left-hand indicator going now. I think that's probably more by accident than design, but this time Morbidelli takes the advantage. Cox just runs too deep under braking, can't get the front of the car to turn into the corner. Gianni Morbidelli on his intermediates is up and away.
Yeah, these cars can be absolutely horrible in the wet when they're actually losing grip like this. It's often an understeer. It's a push. You turn in, the car just doesn't want to do it. And now John Cleland's attacking, looking for a way around Peter Cox. Thinks to himself, if Morbidelli can get past, so can I. Look at the gap Morbidelli's already put on him. And now Cleland straight down the inside and got him.
And Peter Cox really is struggling with understeer. You could see the amount of angle on those front wheels as he came through Priory, through Brooklyn, still trying to have a little go back at John Cleland. The reality is Peter Cox has got no front end grip, others have got tons of it.
Well, I hope for John Cleland's sake it's not a busted flush, because that sun's starting to come out now. The track's getting drier and drier, and Cleland is on wet weather tyres. We saw John the last lap, and Derek Warwick, his teammate as well, hug the inside of this part of the circuit where it's a little bit wetter, trying to keep those tyres cool. You can see the dry line as we move through Copse, and now here's one of the problems they face, because that part of the track's dry, but as you now crest over the top of the hill, you can see the spray coming over the back of the cars. Meantime, now here's the battle for fifth, and it's Paul Radish Radicic and Jason Plato chasing the Vauxhall of Derek Warwick. Warwick is in 5th place, and these two have been flying through the field.
And just look how wet it still remains, out on the back straight as they come down into Abbey.
Now, here's the independence battle, and Rob Gravitt, who we see by his missing green strip, has had his pit stop, but he's still losing places. Mark Lemmer in the Vauxhall Cavalier moving up on the outside of him and looking pretty confident to take that place.
Battle for the independents, every bit as intense. Remember, Rob Gravitt at one point this afternoon actually led this race, so that £100,000 prize for an independent victory, well, I think that's still pretty safe.
Yeah, I think so. That's a pretty decisive pass there from Lemmer. And you can see now Gravitt is struggling for grip. He's tiptoeing around the corner. And struggling for grip, there goes Matt Neal. Lurid slide from him off the track. That's up at Beckett's, and he's not the first man to fall foul of that corner.
No, and the more people go off at Beckett's, the more rubbish gets dragged on the track, the slipperier it gets, and the more will continue to go off.
Now here's this big dice, headed up by Craig Baird. This is the scrap for 4th. We've got Baird 4th, Warwick 5th, Plato right behind him in 6th place. Paul Radicic still with his magnets on, tagged onto the back in 7th. Now here's the view from Warwick's car, and he's looking in 5th place to get past Craig Baird. Bear in mind, Craig Baird's on wet weather tyres, and so is Derek Warwick.
And Warwick really squirming under braking into Copse, but a well-judged overtake. But look at Jason Plato. He picks up the momentum, goes up alongside Warwick, almost contact as they come through Maggots before they have to brake heavily into Beckett's corner, and Anthony Reid slid past as well.
You can't see a thing out of Radicic's car. Probably a good thing too. There are cars everywhere out there. Best you don't look, Paul. But poor old Craig Baird, talk about dropping 20 quid and picking up sixpence. He's just lost 5 places in one corner.
And I'm sure he's saying to himself, thank goodness they've all got past and they've left me still on the racetrack.
He's still on the racetrack, but in a very different position. Look at that. All of those cars that he was leading, but 2 corners ago. And Reid's charge still is not over. Reid down the inside of Derek Warwick into Abbey corner, steals the initiative, puts his car right in the road, and then moves off up the hill.
Superb judged overtaking manoeuvre by Anthony Reid in the Nissan. But of course, Reid is on the intermediates, Derek Warwick is on wet tyres, and Reid has got the advantage.
And Paul Radicic is on intermediates as well, and he's attacking. He's clearly got the advantage. He's just feeling his way up to the back of Warwick's car, just seeing where he can get the grip and where he can't. But both he and Plato have been moving through this pack very quickly. There's the view on board Radicic's car now, and you can't see a thing, especially with the sun out.
And poor Radicic is having to deal with it as best he can.
And so Derek Warwick now, after dropping 2 more places, obviously deciding to succumb to pressure. It's too hard on the tyres. He's got having to pit the change.
We're going to second guess what Warwick's doing, but with the conditions as they are, I think Warwick may opt to go for a full set of slicks.
He's going to lose a lot of time in the pits, no matter how quick they are. And because he's on full wets, he's going to have to change all 4. What would you do?
Well, since this is Warwick's second stop, he's going to have to gamble, and I think that gamble will be a set of full dry weather slick tyres.
Meantime, Jason Plato and Anthony Reid continue their charge through the field. They're all over the back of James Thompson now. James Thompson, our second place man, trying to hold them off as we go down through the Islandesses, but Plato and Reid are on a charge. Look at this side by side. Plato on the right, James Thompson in the Honda on the left, and in the middle of them, right in the middle of them, is Anthony Reid, and he's gone through both of them, threaded the eye of the needle, beaten them on the brakes, an incredible pass.
Well, Anthony Reid seems to be finding grip around this racetrack. Again, a magnificent drive, but I have to say Nissan have done a superb job here at Silverstone.
That was an absolutely astounding move. He capitalised, didn't he? He lined the pair of them up. Thompson was holding him up. It gave all the momentum he needed to get past Jason Plato. And all the time this is going on, of course, poor old Alain Menu's having to watch from the sideline.
Well, 30 possible points. He's lost. The first race, I have to say, he was the master of his own destiny. In the second one, I have to think David Leslie did help him off the track. There was contact 3 times. On the 3rd occasion, that was the end of Menu's day.
And Anthony Reid continues this charge. Now Ivan Muller is the next target. Plato's staying in touch, but Reid's really lining him up. There's a pretty big gap between Plato and Reid, but Reid is all over the back of Muller, looking down the inside as we head towards Copse now. And he's definitely got him, clearly got him as we move. It's sailing serenely past him, makes it look so easy.
And that really is the result of a lot of engine work Nissan undertook since Thruxton. They've found the speed that they thought they should have had at the beginning of the season.
The circuit suits them as well. The bumps of Thruxton they weren't so keen on, but a nice smooth circuit like Silverstone really playing into Anthony Reid's hands now. Plato's past Muller as well. Muller's obviously struggling on the tyre choice he selected. It was still a pretty good charge, and he was holding second place for a while. That's the brilliance of these new regulations and the shuffle it gets in the field. We've got a Ford leading the race. We've had an Audi, a 2-wheel drive Audi in second place, and we've got Peter Cox in the pits.
And in the first 3 races of the year, we've had a Volvo, a Renault and a Nissan win. As Peter Cox has trouble with that left rear, just getting the nut tightened and the wheel retaining clip back into place.
Now Jason Plato's starting to put Anthony Reid under a little bit of pressure now as this fight goes on. Remember, Plato is on cut slicks. We know that Anthony Reid is as well, so the pair of them have got the same sort of grip advantage. This should be a fight down to the wire. Reid's gone wide, doing a bit of ploughing as we've gone out of the island chicane. I think that's exactly the same place that Rickard Rydell had that trouble.
It is, and that just appeared to be almost a momentary lapse of concentration. Reid let the car run just too wide. He caught the grass, he had to get out of the throttle. His momentum was lost. Jason Plato saw it, he couldn't believe his luck. He snatched second place away from Reid, and now Reid will really struggle to get that second place back.
And all this toing and froing is played into this man's hands, Will Hoy. They're slowing each other up, it's extending his lead, and there's the proof. Will Hoy, P1, 10 seconds advantage. And what an astounding result this would be to have a Ford win. There it is, 10 seconds ahead of Jason Plato in second place, and Anthony Reid right behind him in third. Derek Warwick's a long way out. I mean, these three have really cleared off from the rest of the field.
But remember, Derek Warwick has had 2 pit stops. He came in, took his wets off, went back on slick, so he's really benefiting from these very rapidly drying conditions. But something that I think that is really exciting is the prospect of Nigel Mansell in a Ford Mondeo. He's going to take part in 3 events. That's going to be 6 races. Mansell also must feel, well, maybe I've got a winning car at last.
Meantime, Craig Baird just in the foreground. They're weaving all over the track in front of his teammate Will Hoy. I don't know if he's got a problem or whether he's just sort of signalling with enthusiasm to let Hoy past.
Well, the wet weather tyres on Baird's cars are absolutely shot, and he just wants to get out of the way as quickly as possible and let race leader Will Hoy go through Bridge Corner. But in fact, Baird takes the line. Will Hoy backs off. He wants to be safe rather than sorry.
Let Will by. Craig, let Will by. Craig, let Will by. Well done.
Little doubt of that as Will Hoy sweeps into the complex for the last time. And what an astonishing story this will be. This championship's taking amazing shape. We're going to have 4 different winners from 4 different rounds, 4 different manufacturers. We've had a Nissan win, we've had a Volvo win, we've had a Renault win, and now with Will Hoy sweeping through the corner for the last time across the start-finish line, we've had a Ford win.
Well done, Will. Brilliant.
An ecstatic Will Hoy and an ecstatic Ford team as Will Hoy crosses the line for a win. Unbelievably, Tommy Rustad is going to be denied his first win as an independent. Look at that, limping across the line with a flat front left tyre, and Rob Gravitt incredibly steals the independent win right on the line. An astonishing race all round. This man, Rob Gravitt, actually led the race at some point. We had a Vauxhall leading the race, we had a Ford leading the race, and a Ford winning the race. Will Hoy, a brilliant drive and a brilliant win for him. And also Jason Plato and Anthony Reid putting on a fabulous show for second and third respectively. A Peugeot in the top 5 with Paul Radicic and Gianni Morbidelli in a Volvo rounding it out. And then it's the good old boys in the Vauxhall 6th and 7th. Ivan Muller, who showed so strongly early 8th, James Thompson, who slipped back through the field 9th, and Craig Baird inside the top 10. Excellent result. Played those pit stops.
Superb. We knew from all the testing, because most of it was wet, that the car was really good in intermediate conditions, and we were praying for them in the morning and they didn't come, but they came then just right. It meant that I could drive really hard on slicks, and then the boys made a really good pit stop. Mega pit stop. Hold on.
Well done, Will.
Mega pit stop. The guys did really well in the pits, and they cooled the right tyres. It was fantastic. I couldn't believe the gap. I couldn't believe the position. You know, I think, where is everybody? But that's, I guess, the nature of the pit stops and the fact that there's a bit of tyre strategy out there. So it's a brilliant result for us. Good old Mondeo.
So will Will Hoy get the opportunity again this year to wash the champagne out of his overalls? It's been a long time between drinks for Ford, but the unpredictability of the weather certainly helped. Unpredictable as well as the points table after rounds 3 and 4, with Jason Plato leading even though he didn't win either race today. Rickard Rydell and James Thompson are locked on second place, and reigning champion Renault driver Alain Menu and John Clillan in a Vauxhall share equal 4th. Will Hoy's brilliant drive gets him into the top 10 today, but no one's happier than Jason Plato.
It's good, isn't it? Yeah, I certainly didn't think I was going to be leading when I sailed off in the lead, you know, on the water at Beckett's, and ended up about 4 miles off the track, that's for sure. But yeah, it's it. You know, playing the percentage game so far this year has worked a little bit, I think.
Gravitt's 2 wins today see him take the lead in the Autosport Cup for Independence. He's just ahead of Norwegian Tommy Rustad, who incredibly unluckily missed out on his maiden win in the main race today with a flat tyre on the last corner.